Ladies, let me tell you something. If the battle you're facing feels too heavy to bear, if the weight on your shoulders feels like it's about to break you, that's not a sign of weakness. That's a sign of divine strength, because God does not assign heavy battles to fragile warriors. He gives them to the ones he knows will. When we talk about strength being forged in the fire, we're not just talking about physical toughness or emotional resilience. We're talking about a deep, unshakable, God-given strength that cannot be developed in comfort. True strength, the kind that moves mountains, overcomes fear, and carries others when they cannot carry themselves, is the result of pressure, heat, and pain. And for many women of God, that strength is birthed not in seasons of ease, but in seasons of struggle. Think about how a blacksmith forges a sword. He takes a piece of raw metal and places it into the fire. The fire softens it, reshapes it, and removes its impurities. Then he hammers it over and over again, shaping it into something sharp and strong. Without the fire, without the blows, that piece of metal would remain ordinary and weak. It's the same with your soul. Without the trials, without the tears, without the storms, you remain untested and unrefined. But God, in his wisdom and love, allows the flames because he sees the weapon of strength you are becoming. Every painful season you've endured wasn't designed to destroy you. It was meant to develop you. That heartbreak that broke you down, that betrayal that left you wounded, that financial struggle that pushed you to the edge, those weren't wasted moments. They were fires meant to burn away the fear, the doubt, the insecurity, and the dependence on your own strength. Because when everything else is stripped away, when all you have left is God, that's when you discover the depth of the power that's been inside you all along. You see, God doesn't give battles to break you. He gives them to build you. The reason he allows the furnace to get hot is because he's producing something within you that can withstand the heat. That's why the strongest women are often the ones with the deepest scars. They've been through battles most people will never understand, and yet they're still standing. And not just standing, they're stronger, wiser, and more anchored in their faith than ever before. When you walk through the fire with God, you come out with a testimony that can't be argued with. You become a living example of his power and faithfulness. People may see the strength on the outside, but they don't know the fire that produced it. They don't see the nights you cried yourself to sleep and still got up in the morning. They don't see the prayers you prayed when everything in you wanted to quit. They don't know the internal battles you fought, but God does. And he's using every single one of them to prepare you for what's next. So if you feel like you're in the fire right now, don't despise it. Don't run from it. Trust that God is using this season to mold you into someone who can handle the weight of the destiny he's designed for you. Strength is not built in comfort. It's built in challenge. It's built in the lonely seasons, in the painful chapters, in the moments when you feel like you have nothing left. And when you come out on the other side, and you will come out, you'll realize that the fire didn't destroy you. It defined you. It's in the fire that weak women become warriors. It's in the fire that ordinary faith becomes unshakable trust. And it's in the fire that God transforms you from who you were into who he's called you to be. So embrace the process, because strength is being forged in you even now. And when it's all said and done, you'll emerge not just as a survivor, but as a testimony of God's power to turn pain into purpose. Divine assignments require divine preparation. That's a truth many people overlook when they face hardship. We often ask, why is this happening to me? When the better question might be, what is God preparing me for? The reality is that God never gives a great calling without first shaping the person who will carry it. Before he places a crown on your head, he will put a cross on your back. Before he sends you into destiny, he will send you through difficulty. Every great assignment requires a season of training, and that training often comes disguised as trials. Think about it. No soldier is sent to the battlefield without boot camp. No surgeon steps into the operating room without years of study and practice. No leader steps into influence without first learning how to serve. In the same way, God uses the hardships of life as preparation for the purpose he's placed on your life. That's why the battles you face aren't random. They're intentional. They are designed to stretch you, strengthen you, and equip you for the weight of the assignment ahead. If your calling is to lead, God will allow you to experience seasons where you feel unseen and overlooked. It's not punishment, it's preparation. He's teaching you patience and humility so that when leadership comes, you'll lead with character, not pride. If your assignment is to comfort others, He may allow you to walk through seasons of sorrow so that your words carry compassion and credibility. If He's called you to stand firm in the face of opposition, you might first have to endure seasons where everything seems to be against you so that your faith develops the backbone needed for the fight. The size of your preparation is often a clue to the size of your purpose. If your journey has been marked by extraordinary challenges, it's likely because God is preparing you for an extraordinary impact. A small assignment doesn't require much preparation, but a destiny that shakes generations, that requires fire, pressure, and perseverance. And God, in His wisdom, knows exactly how to shape you so that when the time comes, you are ready to carry the assignment with strength and grace. Sometimes, God will even delay the fulfillment of your purpose, not because you're not called, but because you're not yet prepared. He's still teaching you, refining you, and building in you the qualities necessary for where He's taking you. Remember, David was anointed king as a teenager, but he didn't sit on the throne until years later. During that time, he fought lions and bears, faced giants, and served faithfully in obscurity. All of it divine preparation for the weight of the crown. It's the same with you. The hardships you endure today are sharpening your discernment, deepening your faith, and toughening your resolve. God is not interested in giving you an assignment you're not equipped to handle. He would rather prepare you now than watch you crumble later. So, while you may not understand the why behind every trial, you can trust the who behind the preparation. He knows the road ahead, and He's shaping you to walk it with confidence. So don't despise the preparation season. Don't grow bitter because of the battles. Every tear you shed, every obstacle you overcome, every delay you endure, they are all pieces of a bigger picture. They're building you into the woman who can handle the calling that's waiting for you. When the assignment finally arrives, you'll look back and realize that every painful chapter was necessary because divine assignments require divine preparation, and God is preparing you not just to step into your purpose, but to thrive in it. Opposition is not a sign that you're doing something wrong. More often, it's confirmation that you're walking in the right direction. When the enemy senses that a woman is getting close to fulfilling her God-given purpose, he doesn't sit back and applaud. He launches an attack. Resistance arises because your life is starting to make a difference. The forces of darkness don't waste energy on those who pose no threat. If you're facing opposition, it's likely because heaven has declared something powerful over your life, and hell is terrified of what you're about to become. Think about a tree growing in the forest. When it's small and insignificant, animals pass by without noticing. But as it grows taller and starts bearing fruit, it attracts attention. Winds try to break it, storms try to uproot it, and people try to reach for what it carries. The same is true for you. The more fruit your life begins to produce, the more resistance you'll encounter. The presence of opposition isn't proof of failure. It's evidence of potential. It means there's something in you worth fighting over. Some of the most powerful women in Scripture faced intense opposition right before stepping into their calling. Esther risked her life before she saved her people. Hannah endured ridicule before birthing a prophet. Mary faced misunderstanding and judgment before giving birth to the Savior. Their resistance wasn't random. It was a sign of what was coming. The enemy knew the impact of their obedience, and he tried everything to stop it. But every challenge they overcame only positioned them closer to their purpose. The enemy's strategy has always been to discourage you before destiny. He wants to convince you that the battle means you're off course, that the closed doors mean you're not qualified, that the setbacks mean God has forgotten you. But in reality, those battles are road signs pointing toward your assignment. If you weren't significant, the opposition wouldn't bother showing up. The fact that the enemy is fighting you so hard is proof that something extraordinary is on the horizon. Opposition also serves a purpose in God's plan. It strengthens your faith and teaches you perseverance. It forces you to rely on God in ways comfort never could. Every time you overcome resistance, your spiritual muscles grow stronger. Every time you refuse to quit, your confidence in God deepens. What the enemy intended for harm, God uses to prepare you for the next level. Without resistance, you wouldn't build the resilience necessary to carry the weight of your calling. So instead of being discouraged by opposition, learn to discern its message. When obstacles appear, remind yourself, I must be getting close. When people doubt you, remember, they can't see what God is doing in me. When the enemy tries to derail you, declare, I must be carrying something valuable. Every attack is a backhanded compliment, a sign that hell recognizes the power inside you. And here's the truth. Opposition cannot stop God's plan. It can delay you, distract you, or discourage you, but it cannot defeat you. As long as you keep moving forward in faith, the enemy's schemes will fail. The very resistance that tried to break you will become the platform God uses to elevate you. So hold your head high in the face of opposition. Let it remind you of who you are and what you're called to do. The storm around you is not a sign that you're lost. It's proof that you're on the right path. And when you come out on the other side, stronger and more determined than ever, you'll understand that opposition was never meant to stop you. It was meant to show you that your destiny is too powerful to go uncontested. God's greatest work in your life often happens not in seasons of success, but in seasons of struggle. It is through adversity that He refines character, purifies motives, and deepens faith. Just as gold must be placed in the fire to remove its impurities, the heart must pass through trials to reveal its true strength and beauty. When everything is going well, it's easy to speak about faith, love, and patience. But when the storms hit, when the prayers seem unanswered, when nothing makes sense, that's when those virtues are truly developed. God is far more interested in building your character than in keeping you comfortable, because character is what sustains the calling He's placed on your life. Trials reveal what comfort conceals. It's in adversity that you discover who you really are and where your faith truly stands. You can say you trust God when life is easy, but do you still trust Him when everything is falling apart? You can say you're patient when the answers come quickly, but do you still wait with hope when they don't? It's the pressure of hardship that pushes what's inside of you to the surface. God uses those moments not to expose your weaknesses to shame you, but to refine them so that you emerge stronger and more mature in Him. Every challenge you face is an opportunity for growth. When you're misunderstood, God is teaching you humility and grace. When you're disappointed, He's training you to cling to hope. When doors close and plans fail, He's showing you how to depend on His timing instead of your own. These lessons are not learned in the sunshine. They are learned in the rain. The deeper the adversity, the deeper the character God is shaping within you. Consider the process of growing a tree. Strong roots don't develop in soft soil and gentle breezes. They grow deep and firm when the wind blows hard and the storms rage. The same is true of your spiritual roots. Without the winds of adversity, your faith would remain shallow and easily shaken. But with every gust that tries to uproot you, your roots dig deeper into God's promises. You become unmovable, not because life is easy, but because your foundation is strong. God is not just preparing you for what He wants to give you. He's preparing you for what He wants to trust you with. If He's going to entrust you with influence, leadership, or responsibility, your character must be strong enough to carry it. Trials are His way of shaping that strength. Without them, blessings could become burdens. But with a refined character, you can walk in purpose without pride, serve others without seeking credit, and persevere without losing faith. It's also in adversity that your compassion and empathy deepen. When you've walked through pain, you understand the pain of others. When you've battled doubt, you speak hope into those who are struggling. God uses your wounds to equip you for ministry. He turns your scars into sources of strength for someone else. And in doing so, He reminds you that none of your suffering is wasted. Every trial has a purpose far beyond what you can see. So when adversity comes, and it will, don't see it as punishment. See it as preparation. Don't ask, why is this happening to me? Ask, what is God shaping in me? Because on the other side of that storm, you won't be the same. You'll be wiser, stronger, and more anchored in your faith. The trial that once threatened to break you will become the testimony that builds you. And as you emerge from the refining fire, you'll realize that adversity wasn't your enemy. It was God's greatest tool to shape your character into the image of his strength and grace. Brokenness is one of God's most powerful tools. It's not the end of your story. It's often the beginning of your greatest authority. When life breaks you, when circumstances shatter your plans, when the weight of disappointment brings you to your knees, that's not a sign that God has abandoned you. On the contrary, it's often the place where he's doing his most transformative work, because it's in the cracks of your heart that his light shines the brightest. And it's from the places where you've been wounded that the deepest ministry can flow. You see, God is not afraid of brokenness. In fact, he specializes in using it. All throughout Scripture, the people he used most powerfully were those who had been broken in some way. Joseph was betrayed and thrown into a pit before he became a ruler. Moses fled into the wilderness after failure before he became a deliverer. Peter denied Jesus before he became a pillar of the early church. Their pain was not wasted. It was the soil from which their authority grew. They could speak with power because they had lived through what they were speaking about. It's the same for you. The heartbreak you thought would destroy you is actually preparing you to speak healing into the lives of others. The betrayal that cut you deeply is equipping you to guide others through forgiveness and restoration. The season of loneliness that once broke your spirit is now shaping you into a safe place for those who feel unseen. God takes the very areas where you were wounded and turns them into weapons against the enemy. What once caused you pain becomes the platform from which you stand in strength. There's a powerful truth here. People will listen to someone who has been through the fire and come out refined. When you've walked through darkness and still speak about God's faithfulness, your words carry weight. When you've lost everything and still declare that he is enough, your testimony has authority. Authority doesn't come from theory. It comes from experience, and experience is often born in brokenness. But let's be honest, brokenness is never easy. It strips away pride, self-reliance, and illusions of control. It humbles you and forces you to depend on God in ways you never have before. Yet that dependence is the very thing that gives your voice power. Because when you stand on the other side of brokenness, you know it was not your strength that carried you, it was his. And that realization makes you dangerous to the kingdom of darkness. God will even use your scars to unlock doors that would otherwise remain closed. There are people you are called to reach who won't listen to anyone else. But they will listen to you because you've been where they are. They'll trust your words because they're not just sermons, they're survival stories. Your pain gives your purpose credibility. Your scars make your message real. So instead of despising your brokenness, surrender it. Hand every shattered piece to God and watch what he builds. He does not just mend broken things. He multiplies them. He takes what was meant to destroy you and uses it to deliver others. He takes what once brought you shame and turns it into a story of redemption. Remember, this brokenness is not your disqualification. It's your qualification. It's the evidence that you've wrestled, endured, and overcome. It's the soil from which authority grows. And when you rise from that place, not bitter, but better, not hopeless, but hopeful, you'll discover that the very wounds you once hid are now the weapons that make you a warrior. In God's hands, your brokenness becomes the birthplace of power. When God gives his strongest daughters the toughest missions, it's not because he wants to see them suffer. It's because he trusts them. He knows the strength he has placed inside of them. Even when they can't see it themselves, he knows the depth of their faith, the resilience of their spirit, and the power of their calling. And because he knows what they are capable of through him, he assigns them to battles that require extraordinary courage, unwavering perseverance. and deep dependence on his power. The very weight of the mission is evidence of God's confidence in you. This is why some women face challenges that seem far heavier than those around them. It's not that they're cursed or forgotten. It's that they are chosen. God has seen their heart. He has watched them worship through the pain, pray through the tears, and remain faithful when quitting would have been easier. He knows that if anyone can carry this assignment and still glorify his name, it's them. The greater the mission, the greater the measure of trust God places in the one who carries it. Think of a general in an army. He doesn't send the inexperienced soldier on the most dangerous mission. He sends his most seasoned, skilled, and courageous warrior. The same is true with God. He doesn't hand the toughest assignments to the weakest hearts. He entrusts them to those who, through trials and testing, have proven their faithfulness. Every hardship you faced up until now has been part of your training, shaping you into a warrior capable of carrying a divine assignment that will impact lives far beyond your own. And here's the beauty of it. God never sends you into a battle alone. If he assigns it to you, he equips you for it. He supplies the wisdom, strength, and endurance you need to fulfill the mission. He surrounds you with grace in the moments when you feel like giving up. And he walks beside you every step of the way, turning every obstacle into an opportunity and every setback into a stepping stone. His trust in you is not based on your strength, but on his strength working through you. Sometimes the weight of the mission will feel overwhelming. You may question why the road is so steep, why the storms are so fierce, and why the burden feels heavier than what others are carrying. But when those questions arise, remember this: God trusts you with what he does not trust with everyone. He sees a strength in you that you haven't even discovered yet. He knows that the pressure will not crush you. It will cultivate the greatness inside you. The assignment is not just about what God wants to do through you, it's also about what he wants to do in you. Through the battle, he's deepening your dependence on him. Through the mission, he's stretching your faith. Through the challenges, he's revealing new levels of endurance, courage, and authority that you didn't know you had. What feels like a heavy burden today will one day become a powerful testimony of God's trust in you and your trust in him. And when the mission is complete, when you look back and see the lives that were changed, the battles that were won, and the faith that was built, you'll understand why the road was so hard. You'll realize that God never gave you the toughest missions to break you. He gave them to you because he knew you were strong enough, faithful enough, and resilient enough to see them through. And in the end, you'll stand not just as a survivor of the battle, but as a conqueror, carrying the victory that only those entrusted with great missions ever experience. Victory is already promised. That truth is the anchor that holds you steady in the midst of every storm, and the hope that keeps you moving forward when the battle feels overwhelming. No matter how fierce the fight, no matter how dark the night, no matter how impossible the situation seems, the outcome has already been secured by the power and faithfulness of God. The battles you face are not about whether you will win. They're about whether you will trust the one who has already declared your victory. From the very beginning, God never intended for you to live a defeated life. He calls you more than a conqueror, not because you are strong in yourself, but because his strength is at work within you. The enemy will try to convince you otherwise. He'll whisper that the mountain is too high, the valley too deep, the pain too heavy, and the opposition too strong. But his lies cannot erase God's promises. And God's promises declare that victory belongs to those who stand firm in faith. When you belong to God, you fight from a position of victory, not for it. That means the battle you're in isn't about proving your worth. It's about walking in the authority you already have. It's about holding on to faith when everything around you tells you to give up. It's about refusing to let fear dictate your steps because you know the one who walks beside you has never lost a battle. The victory is not uncertain, it's guaranteed. What's uncertain is whether you will keep going long enough to see it manifest. Look at the stories of those who came before you. Joshua faced fortified cities and powerful armies, yet God told him the land was already his. David stood before a giant who looked unbeatable, yet he declared victory before he even swung his stone. Jesus went to the cross, seemingly defeated, yet 3 days later the grave could not hold him. Their confidence wasn't in their own ability. It was in the unshakable promise of God. And that same promise covers your life today. It's also important to understand that victory doesn't always look like what we expect. Sometimes it's not the removal of the storm, but the strength to endure it. Sometimes it's not the absence of pain, but the presence of peace in the midst of it. Sometimes victory isn't about winning a fight in the natural. It's about winning a battle in the spiritual. And in every case, God uses the struggle not to harm you, but to position you for a greater purpose than you can see right now. So when the battle intensifies, don't lose heart. When the enemy roars louder, stand your ground. When the road seems endless, keep moving forward. Your perseverance is proof of your faith, and your faith is the key that unlocks the victory that's already yours. Even when it feels like you're losing, God is still working behind the scenes. Even when it feels like the enemy is winning, God is still in control. Even when everything seems uncertain, His word remains certain, and it declares that you are victorious.